The three Vrock warships hung in Earth's sky like dark metal moons, their hulls reflecting the afternoon sun. Commander Xenos stood on the bridge of the lead vessel, his four eyes fixed on the view screen below. In the middle of a vast desert, surrounded by nothing but sand and wind, sat a small concrete bunker dot. It looked old, ancient, even by human standards. Xenos tilted his head, a gesture his crew recognized as confusion mixed with amusement. For 3 weeks, his scouts had mapped every human military installation on this planet. They had found missile silos buried deep underground, energy weapons hidden in mountain ranges, and defensive satellites that could track a ship across star systems. All of it was primitive compared to Vrock technology, but at least it showed effort. This bunker, though, this was different. Scan it again, Xenos ordered. His science officer, a young Vrock named Talon, worked his console with practiced speed. Same readings, Commander. Concrete walls, steel reinforcement, basic power grid. No weapons signatures. No shield generators. The structure is approximately 80 years old by our estimate. And the humans refuse to abandon it. Correct, sir. 12 soldiers inside. They have ignored all evacuation warnings. Xenos made a sound that resembled laughter in his species. Around the bridge, other officers joined in. The idea was ridiculous. The Vrock Empire had shattered energy barriers that could withstand direct hits from fusion bombs. They had melted through titanium alloy fortresses 3 miles thick. And here were humans, hiding in a concrete box that would not survive a single shot from even their smallest weapon. Open a channel, Xenos commanded. The comb crackled to life. Inside the bunker, Captain James Reed heard the alien voice before he saw the face on his monitor. The Vrock commander looked down at him with all 4 eyes, his expression radiating superiority. Human defenders, Xenos said slowly, as if speaking to children. Your resistance is pointless. That structure you hide in is nothing. A primitive box of stone and metal. We have given you every chance to flee. Why do you cling to this place? Reed stood in the center of the bunker's main control room. Around him, his team worked at stations that lined the circular walls. The captain was a calm man, known for keeping his voice level even when artillery fell around him. He looked up at the monitor and met Xenos's multiple eyes without flinching. Because this bunker is important, Reed said simply. And we're not leaving. The alien commander's laughter echoed through the speakers. Important? We have scanned your primitive fort from every angle. It has no weapons, no shields, no power beyond what runs your lights. What makes you think you can stand against us? You don't understand what you're looking at, Reed replied. This made Xenos laugh harder. On the bridge, his officers joined in, their voices creating a chorus of mockery. Talon pulled up images of previous conquests' fortresses that had fallen before Vrock might, each one far more advanced than this simple Earth bunker. We have conquered 47 worlds. Human, Xenos said when the laughter faded. We have broken through quantum shields. We have melted fortresses made of materials your species has not even discovered. And you think we don't understand? Concrete? Reed said nothing. Behind him, Lieutenant Maria Torres glanced up from her console. She was young but steady, her fingers moving across controls that looked deceptively simple. Next to her, Sergeant Tom Blake checked readouts that were beginning to show increased activity in systems hidden deep below their feet. Private Jake Wilson monitored the alien ship's positions on a tactical display, noting how confidently they held formation. They thought this would be easy. I'm going to give you one chance, Xenos announced, his tone shifting from amused to cold. 5 minutes. Evacuate that pathetic structure and surrender. If you refuse, we will demonstrate why the Vrock Empire is feared across this sector. We decline, Reed said calmly. Xenos stared at the screen for a moment, then gestured sharply. The view shifted to show the smallest of his 3 warships rotating to face the bunker. A weapon port on its underside began to glow with building energy. "A demonstration, then," the commander said. "Perhaps seeing our power will cure you of your foolishness." The pulse cannon fired. A beam of concentrated energy lanced down from the ship, striking the sand 200 feet from the bunker. The impact was instantaneous and devastating. Sand melted into glass, creating a crater 50 feet wide and 20 feet deep. The shock wave rolled across the desert, throwing up a wall of dust that briefly hid the bunker from view. When the dust settled, the concrete structure sat unchanged. Not a crack in its walls, not even scorch marks, but it also showed no response. No return fire, no defensive measures. It just sat there, silent and still. On the Vrock bridge, Xenos nodded with satisfaction. "You see? That was our smallest weapon, fired at minimum power. Your bunker would not survive 1 second under a full assault. Now, I will broadcast this next message on all frequencies, so every human in range can hear what happens to those who resist." He leaned toward his comm station, making sure his words would carry far. "Attention, human forces. The defenders in the desert bunker have chosen destruction over wisdom. In 5 minutes, we will erase their position. Let this be a lesson about the futility of resistance." Across the Vrock fleet, warriors prepared to watch the show. Some activated recording systems, wanting to capture the moment. Others made casual bets about how long the structure would last under sustained fire. A few joked about preserving one wall for their ship's trophy room. Inside the bunker, Reed's team moved with quiet efficiency. There was no panic, no fear in their eyes. Torres's console began showing readouts that climbed steadily higher. Blake confirmed that power levels were rising in the deep systems, the ones the Vrock scanners couldn't detect. Wilson tracked the alien ships as they adjusted position, arranging themselves for the best firing angles. 4 minutes, Reed said quietly. His team nodded. They had trained for this scenario, though none of them had believed it would actually happen. Now that it was here, they fell into their roles with practiced ease. Deep beneath the bunker, something ancient stirred. The humming started low, almost below the range of hearing. It was the sound of massive systems coming online, systems that had slept for decades. Waiting for the moment they would be needed, the floor began to vibrate. 3 minutes, Reed said, on his console. Torres watched symbols appear not English. Not any modern human language, but something older. Mathematical formulas that seemed to shift and change as she looked at them. Power readings that climbed beyond what should be possible for a structure this size. The air inside the bunker began to smell like ozone, like the moment before a lightning strike. 2 minutes, Reed said. Blake's readouts showed the main systems were almost fully active now. The humming had grown into something that could be felt in their bones. A deep vibration that made tools rattle on their hooks and dust fall from the ceiling. The lights, which had always been plain white, now flickered with hints of electric blue. Xenos watched his countdown timer with satisfaction. His 3 warships had their main weapons charged and ready. Their targeting computers had locked onto every square inch of the bunker. When he gave the word, they would fire simultaneously, and that primitive structure would cease to exist. 1 minute, he announced over the open channel. Reed heard the alien commander's voice and smiled, just slightly. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who knew a secret, who had tried to warn others and been ignored. "You had your chance to leave," Reed said into his comm, his voice carrying to the Vrock fleet. 30 seconds, Xenos counted down, his tone mocking. "Say goodbye to your concrete tomb, humans." Reed's fingers moved over his console, entering the final authorization codes. Around him, his team did the same. 12 people, working in perfect synchronization. activating a system that most of Earth's military didn't even know existed. The humming became a roar. 15 seconds. The lights inside the bunker shifted from white to brilliant blue. The walls themselves seemed to glow from within, as if energy was flowing through the concrete and steel like water through pipes. Torres's console showed power readings that spiked off her charts. Blake's systems confirmed full activation. Outside, the desert sand began to swirl despite there being no wind. 10 seconds. Xenos leaned forward in his command chair, eager to watch the destruction. His science officer suddenly spoke up, confusion in his voice. "Commander, I'm detecting 5 seconds." "Sir, energy readings are fire," Xenos commanded. 3 Vrock warships unleashed their main weapons simultaneously. Beams of concentrated death lanced down from orbit, converging on the small bunker that sat alone in the desert. Enough power to vaporize a mountain. Enough force to crack bedrock and turn sand to glass for miles. The weapon struck Dot, and in that instant, the bunker transformed. Lightning erupted from every surface pure. Brilliant, impossible lightning that turned night into day. Not from weapon ports. Not from turrets or emplacements. From the walls themselves, from the concrete and steel, from the very ground beneath the structure. The bunker didn't have weapons. The bunker was the weapon. And it had just woken up. Asterisk. The lightning didn't just deflect the Vrock weapons. It consumed them. 3 beams of deadly energy, each capable of destroying a city block, met the electrical storm erupting from the bunker and simply vanished. The lightning wrapped around the alien fire like hungry serpents, pulling the energy into itself, feeding on it, growing stronger. On the bridge of his warship, Xenos stumbled backward from his view screen. Around him, alarms shrieked as his ship's systems registered impossible readings. The energy signature coming from that concrete bunker had gone from nothing to beyond measurement in less than 2 seconds. "What is that?" He shouted over the chaos. Talon's hands flew across his console, trying to make sense of what his instruments were telling him. "Unknown, Commander. The power output, it's off our scales. The structure is generating more energy than our entire fleet." "That's impossible." Xenos roared. "It's concrete. We scanned it. The scans were wrong, sir." Or something was hiding beneath. The lightning intensified. What had started as bolts, crackling across the bunker's surface, now formed a sphere of pure electrical fury that expanded outward. The desert sand within 100 feet of the structure lifted into the air, suspended by the electromagnetic field. The particles glowed white-hot, creating a ring of molten glass that spun around the bunker like a burning halo. Inside the structure, Reed and his team worked with calm precision. Their consoles, which had looked ancient and simple minutes ago, now displayed interfaces of stunning complexity. Holographic readouts filled the air above each station, showing power flows, targeting solutions, and system diagnostics that would have seemed like science fiction to most of humanity. "Main grid at full capacity," Torres reported, her voice steady, despite the incredible forces being channeled through the equipment around them. "Defensive matrix holding stable." "Confirmed," Blake added from his station. "All primary systems online. Secondary batteries charging." Reed nodded, his eyes on the central display that showed the 3 Vrock ships hovering above them. The aliens had stopped firing, probably trying to understand what they were facing. That wouldn't last long. "Wilson, target status?" Reed asked. The young private's hands moved across his console with practiced ease. "Lead ship designated target Alpha. Port ship is Beta. Starboard ship is Gamma. All 3 have shields raised and weapons still hot." "They're holding position, sir." "They're confused," Reed said quietly. "They came here expecting to crush primitives. Now they don't know what they're fighting." On the Vrak command bridge, Xenos had regained his composure, though his four eyes still showed traces of shock. He had not survived 47 conquests by panicking in the face of the unexpected. Whatever this was, whatever technology the humans had hidden in that bunker, it was still just one installation against 3 warships. "Full shields," he ordered. "All weapons. Concentrated fire on that structure. Maximum power. I want it erased." His crew responded instantly. The 3 Vrak warships, each one carrying enough firepower to level a continent, opened fire in unison. Pulse cannons, plasma beams, and kinetic accelerators all discharged at once. The combined assault lit up the desert sky like a second sun. The lightning from the bunker met the attack. Halfway dot, what happened next defied everything the Vrak knew about physics. The electrical storm didn't just absorb the incoming fire, it reached out and grabbed it. Tendrils of pure energy shot upward from the bunker, intercepting every weapon discharge before it could reach the ground. The alien fire was pulled into the lightning, dissected, converted, and added to the bunker's growing power. "Impossible!" Talon shouted from his station. "Commander, it's eating our weapons' fire. Every shot we take makes it stronger." Xenos stared at the view screen, his confidence finally cracking. "Cease fire. All ships, cease fire." But the damage was done. The bunker's power had tripled in the span of seconds, fed by the very weapons meant to destroy it. The sphere of lightning expanded further, reaching up toward the sky like a growing tower of electric fury. The air itself seemed to tear and spark where the energy passed through it. Inside the bunker, Reed allowed himself a small smile. "They've stopped shooting." "Smart move," Torres said. "If they'd kept going for another 10 seconds, we'd have enough charge to take down all 3 ships simultaneously." "We still might," Blake noted, checking his readouts. "We're at 60% capacity and climbing. The collectors are pulling energy from their shield emissions now." Reed raised an eyebrow. "Their shields are feeding us?" "Any electromagnetic radiation within range," Blake confirmed. "The system was designed to fight enemies with advanced technology. The more they use, the stronger we get." Wilson looked up from his targeting console. "Sir, the lead ship is repositioning. Looks like they're preparing to retreat to higher orbit." "Predictable," Reed said. He opened the cum channel to the Vrak fleet. His voice, when he spoke, was calm and almost friendly. "Commander Xenos, I believe you wanted to demonstrate your power. Would you like to see ours?" On the bridge of the lead Vrak ship, Xenos heard the human's words and felt something he hadn't experienced in years. Genuine fear. Not for himself. He had faced death before. But fear of the unknown, of fighting an enemy whose capabilities he couldn't measure or predict. "What are you?" he demanded. "A bunker," Reed replied simply. "An old, primitive bunker made of concrete and steel." "Exactly what we told you." "That's not," Xeno started. "You scanned the structure," Reed continued, his tone still conversational. "You saw concrete walls and steel beams. You weren't wrong. That's exactly what this bunker is made of. What you didn't see was what we built underneath it. Or rather, what we found." Xenus's eyes widened. "Found?" Reed glanced at Torres, who nodded and began adjusting controls. The lightning around the bunker pulsed once, brightly, then contracted into a tighter sphere. It was a demonstration of control, showing that the massive energies on display weren't random or uncontrolled. 30 years ago, Reed explained, an archaeological team discovered something in this desert. Something buried deep, left behind by whoever was here before humans evolved. We didn't build this technology, Commander. We just learned how to turn it on. The implications hit Xenos like a physical blow. Ancient technology. Precursor systems. Every spacefaring species had heard the legends of the ones who came before. the civilizations that had risen to incredible heights and then vanished, leaving behind artifacts that defied understanding, and the humans had found one, hidden under a concrete bunker in the middle of nowhere, disguised so perfectly that even Vrock scanners had missed it. "You're bluffing," Xenos said, but his voice lacked conviction. "Am I?" Reed asked. "Torres, bring the secondary array online. Let's show our guests what this old bunker can really do." Inside the control room, Torres entered a new sequence of commands. Deep beneath the desert floor, systems that hadn't been fully activated in 3 decades began to wake. The humming that had filled the bunker grew into something that could be felt for miles, a vibration that resonated in the bones of every living thing within range. Outside, the desert itself began to change. The sand started to glow, not in spots, not in patches, but everywhere within a mile of the bunker. Millions of particles lit up with inner light, as if the ground itself had become electrified. Patterns emerged in the glow, geometric shapes, mathematical formulas, symbols that seemed to shift and change as they were observed. "What is that?" one of Xenus's officers whispered, staring at the view screen. Talon's voice shook as he read his instruments. "It's a circuit, sir. The entire desert floor is one massive circuit board. The bunker isn't the weapon, it's just the control center. The weapon is buried underneath everything, spread across kilometers of land." Xenos felt ice in his chest. His ships were hovering directly above a weapon system larger than some cities. A weapon that had just eaten everything his fleet had thrown at it, and was still hungry for more. Reed's voice came over the com again. "I'll ask you one more time, Commander. Would you like to see what this bunker can do? Or would you prefer to take your ships and leave our planet?" For a long moment, the Vrock commander said nothing. His pride warred with his survival instincts. His empire's reputation demanded he respond to this threat with overwhelming force. But his experience, earned through dozens of battles, told him he was facing something beyond his ability to counter. The lightning pulsed again, brighter this time. The glowing patterns in the desert floor intensified. And deep below the surface, ancient machinery hummed with patient, terrible power. Xenos made his decision. Asterisk. Xenos reached for his command console, his hand hovering over the retreat command. Every instinct screamed at him to flee, to pull his fleet back to a safe distance and call for reinforcements. But something held him back, not pride, but calculation. If he retreated now without understanding what he faced, he would be sending the next Vrock commander in blind. "Hold position," he ordered quietly. Then into the comm. "Human captain, I would speak with you." "Ship to ship, private channel." Reed considered this for a moment, then nodded to Torres. She routed the communication through a secure line. The other Vrock ships would not hear what their commander said next. "I'm listening," Reed said. Zeno chose his words carefully. "In 47 conquests, I have learned something that keeps me alive. I know when I am looking at a weapon, and I know when I am looking at a message. What you have shown me today is both." Reed's expression remained neutral, but something flickered in his eyes. Understanding, perhaps. Or respect. "Go on." "This bunker," Xenos continued, studying the swirling energy on his view screen, "it sits in the middle of empty desert. Far from your cities, your population centers, your strategic military installations. Yet you defend it with 12 soldiers and technology that surpasses anything else on your planet. You wanted someone to find it. You wanted someone to challenge it." "Smart," Reed admitted. "What else?" "You said you discovered this site 30 years ago," Xenos said, his mind working through the implications. "But you only activated it now when my fleet arrived. Not during your own wars. Not when other alien visitors came to your world. Only now, when someone threatened to invade and enslave your entire species." Reed leaned back in his chair, waiting. This is a demonstration, Xenos concluded. Not just of power, but of intent. You are telling the galaxy something. The question is, what message are you sending? For the first time since the conversation began, Reed smiled. It was a genuine smile, without mockery or threat. You're smarter than you pretended to be, Commander. Yes, this is a message. Would you like to hear it? Xenos made a gesture of acknowledgement that his species used to show respect between equals. Please. Reed stood and walked to the center of the bunker's control room. Around him, his team continued monitoring systems, but they listened too. They had all volunteered for this duty. All understood what they were really protecting. 10,000 years ago, Reed began, someone came to Earth. We don't know who they were. We don't know where they went. But they left something behind, something buried deep, wrapped in stone and mystery. For most of human history, we didn't even know it existed. He gestured at the walls around him. 30 years ago, we found it. Not just here, but in 3 other locations around our planet. Ancient technology, sleeping beneath our feet. We studied it, reverse engineered what we could, learned to activate basic systems. But we never truly understood it. Talon's voice came through, speaking urgently to Xenos in Vrock language. The commander listened, then looked shocked. My science officer confirms there are energy signatures similar to this one at 3 other points on your planet. All dormant but present. 4 installations, Reed confirmed. 1 per continent. We built bunkers over each site to hide them, to protect them, to study them, and to keep them secret until the day we needed them. Why reveal them now? Xenos asked. You could have kept them hidden. Let us invade, then surprised us with this power. Because war is expensive, Reed said simply. People die. Cities burn. Even if we won, Earth would be scarred. We'd rather avoid that if possible. He walked back to his console and pulled up a display showing not just Earth, but surrounding star systems. You said you've conquered 47 worlds, Commander. That's 47 civilizations that now serve the Vrock Empire. How many of them had a choice? Xenos was silent. Humanity is new to the galaxy, Reed continued. We've been in space for less than a century. We don't have your fleets, your weapons, or your empire. What we have is this. He gestured at the screens, showing the massive energy output from the bunker. A gift from someone who came before us. And a decision to make about how we use it. Torres spoke up from her station. Sir, detecting movement from the other 2 Vrock ships. They're adjusting position, moving to flank. Reed didn't take his eyes off the com screen. Commander, are those ships acting on your orders? Xenos's face darkened. No, my second-in-command thinks I'm being deceived. He's preparing to attack while I talk. He switched to a fleet-wide channel and barked orders in his own language. The 2 ships hesitated, then slowly returned to their original positions. Internal politics, Xenos explained, switching back to the private channel. Some of my officers believe any sign of caution is weakness. They are young and have never faced something they couldn't understand. Then let me help you understand, Reed said. He nodded to Blake, who began entering commands. The lightning around the bunker pulsed in a specific pattern, 3 long flashes, 3 short, 3 long. A signal recognizable by any species that had developed radio technology. That's a distress call, Xenos said, confused. Why would you? The desert floor erupted with light. Not the glow from before, but focused beams that shot upward into the sky. Dozens of them, all pointing at precise angles toward different sections of space. The beams were too tight to be weapons, too directed to be random. They were communication lasers, powerful enough to reach across star systems. We're broadcasting this entire encounter, Reed explained. Not just to our own people, but to 73 different star systems. Some we've made contact with. Some we haven't. Some, like yours, came looking for easy conquest. All of them are watching right now. Talon's panicked voice confirmed it. Commander, I'm detecting our own fleet frequencies in those transmissions. They're sending our tactical data, our shield specifications, our weapon signatures, everything. Xenos felt something cold settle in his stomach. You're showing the entire galaxy how to fight us. No, Reed corrected gently. We're showing the entire galaxy that Earth is protected by technology none of us fully understand. That attacking humanity means risking a fight against weapons from a civilization that made you look primitive. And that we're willing to share what we know with anyone who approaches us in peace. He leaned forward. That's the message, Commander. Humanity doesn't want an empire. We don't want conquest. But we also won't be conquered. Come to Earth as friends, and we'll trade, learn, and grow together. Come as invaders, and you'll face something that neither you nor we can fully control. The bunker's lightning display shifted, forming shapes in the air above it. Mathematical formulas, star charts, scientific data, all broadcast outward on those laser-type beams, shared freely with every civilization that could receive it. You're giving away your advantage, Xenos said, disbelief in his voice. Showing your power to potential enemies. We're showing that our power comes from knowledge, not secrecy, Reed replied. The galaxy needs to know what's sleeping beneath Earth's surface. Not to fear us, but to understand that some questions are bigger than any one species' desire for conquest. Wilson's voice cut in. Sir, we're receiving responses. 23 systems have acknowledged the transmission. 14 are requesting diplomatic channels. 6 are... He paused, reading his screen carefully. 6 are asking about the original builders of these installations. Reed smiled. And there it is. The real question. Not how strong is humanity, but who came before, and what else did they leave behind? Xenos understood then. The humans had turned a potential invasion into a galactic event. Every species that received this transmission would be talking about Earth now, not as a target, but as a mystery. As a place where ancient secrets still slept. As a world that might hold answers to questions that every spacefaring civilization eventually asked. Who came before us? What did they know? What did they build? You've made Earth untouchable, Xenos said quietly. Not through threat, but through curiosity. Every empire in the galaxy will want to study these installations, to learn from them. Attacking you now would mean destroying potential knowledge. And making enemies of everyone who wants to learn from that knowledge, Reed added. Yes. The Vrak commander looked at his view screen, at the bunker still crackling with power, at the desert floor still glowing with ancient circuits. He thought about his empire, his 47 conquered worlds, his reputation as an unstoppable force. And he realized that he was looking at something his people had never truly encountered before. Not a stronger enemy, but a smarter one. What do you want from me? Xenos asked. Leave, Reed said simply. Go back to your empire. Tell them what you found here. Tell them that Earth is protected, not by human technology, but by something older and stranger. Tell them that we're willing to talk, to trade, to share knowledge, but never to submit. He paused, then added, and tell them that if they're curious about who built these installations, we are curious too. If the Vrak Empire wants to send scientists instead of soldiers, they'll be welcome. Xenos made his decision. He opened a fleet-wide channel. All ships, power down weapons. Raise shields to defensive only. We are departing Earth orbit immediately. His officers protested, but he overrode them with commander's authority. The 3 massive warships began to turn, their engines powering up for the journey back to Vrak space. Before he closed the channel to Reed, Xenos spoke one last time. You took a great risk, human captain. Showing your power like this could have made you a target for species even more dangerous than mine. Reed nodded. Maybe, but hiding in fear would have made us victims eventually. At least now, the galaxy knows we're here. And that we're not alone, we never were. The Vrak ships accelerated away from Earth, their hulls gleaming as they climbed toward the stars. On the bunker's monitors, Reed and his team watched them go. The lightning around the structure began to fade, pulling back into the walls. The glowing patterns in the desert floor dimmed. The ancient machinery below started its shutdown sequence, returning to sleep after its brief awakening. Well, Torres said, breaking the silence, that was either the smartest thing humanity ever did, or the dumbest. Reed laughed, the tension finally leaving his shoulders. Probably both. Blake, start compiling reports for command. Wilson, keep monitoring those incoming transmissions. We're going to be very busy soon. As his team returned to work, Reed looked one last time at the space where the Vrak ships had been. Somewhere out there, across vast distances, other civilizations were receiving Earth's message. Some would be curious. Some would be cautious. Some might still be hostile, but they would all know one thing. Humanity had guardians. Not guardians they built, but guardians they inherited. Ancient, powerful, and utterly mysterious dot, and that uncertainty, Reed thought, might be the best protection of all dot deep beneath the bunker. In chambers that human engineers still couldn't fully map, the ancient machinery settled back into dormancy. It had done its job. It had roared with lightning, made its statement, and sent its message across the stars. Now it would wait again, patient, silent, ready, until humanity needed it once more. The end asterisk